Charlie was a force of nature. Charlie was doing really incredible work.
Welcome in. It is going to be a hard show. It is going to be a difficult show. I imagine that a lot of you are like both the Buck and myself. It's hard to sleep. May not have gotten a lot of sleep. Probably have been, hopefully, hugging your kids, your grandkids closer, and trying to deal with the fact that we live in a world where if you have the wrong opinion, and I know many of you, sadly, including me, have expected things like these. We've been talking about it, unfortunately, for over a year after President Trump took a bullet to the ear. It's awful. We ended yesterday's show. Buck and I, if you watch on video, are regularly scrolling through our phone to make sure that we are the absolute best informed and get you information as fast as we possibly can. And Buck saw it first yesterday during the show, and I could see in his face that something was very bad. And unfortunately, about an hour after the show ended, Buck, you were basically on Fox News when it happened. And Charlie Kirk is gone, 31 years old. He leaves behind a young son, young daughter, very, very young son and daughter, loving wife. And they killed him because they did not like his political opinions. And we're going to talk a lot about this and have a big conversation with all of you. But I think at its essence, this is where words are violence leads to. I think if you have to boil it down, the left has accepted the idea that if you or I or any of us say something that they do not like, that violence is an appropriate response. And where this event, this assassination took place, was in many ways perfectly reflective of the impact that Charlie Kirk has had in his life on a college campus with an open mic where anyone on the campus could walk up and tell him why he was wrong, and they could debate anything under the sun. And he had done this, and he was so profoundly successful at it that he had particularly moved the hearts and minds of many young men. And Buck, I'll toss it to you here in a sec, but let me tell you this. My two oldest boys, their entire school today in Nashville, dressed up in coats and ties in honor of Charlie Kirk. And you went to a school where you had to dress up sometimes. Let me tell you, these boys don't want to wear coats and ties. They usually are always complaining. They're like, oh, it's a coat and tie day, Dad. The whole school wore coats and ties in honor of Charlie Kirk. And I understand some of you, maybe you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you might not have been the target audience necessarily seeing this content. But I would tell you, particularly if you have sons, grandsons, young people in your households, they may be hurting quite a bit and impacted by this far more than even you might have been. So, Buck, that it is just a devastating, yet sadly not unexpected to me event.
It's a day of mourning for the whole country because of what happened within the last 24 hours. And also it is the remembrance of 9/11 today. So it's a particularly hard and emotional day. It was going to be before this horrific event happened. And now we sit here with you and we grieve with all of you because of what happened to Charlie, and which is just horrific beyond words. When Clay saw me yesterday, I felt like I was going to throw up when I was reading the initial text messages about it, and we were we went into a commercial break at the very end of the show. Of course, I didn't want to say anything at first because there's some news stories that you just cannot get wrong. You can't, and there's so much false information out there these days, and so we really wanted to just bring you the facts about this, and then I was on with Will Kane, who's been a friend of mine now for I don't know almost 15 years, and Will texted me, he said, will you please come on and talk about what's going on? And I got word when I was on the air. It was very early on in the show, Clay, but I had already been informed pretty reliably that Charlie wasn't going to make it. But then I we're dealing with the not certain, you obviously, I can't say that if I'm not 100% sure, but I'm thinking, and it's just all the processing, the grief, the trauma that people feel right now. We feel it with you. Clay and I both knew and liked Charlie and had tremendous respect for what he had built and what he had done. And in this last election, playing a critical role, especially with getting that youth vote to start to see reality. And it's just one of those moments, Clay, where you go to bed at night to the degree you can even sleep, and it's still, just doesn't feel like this could have been what happened. It's so horrific, and it's so wrong and evil on so many levels. I feel for Charlie's family, his wife, his two small children, his mom, his dad, everybody, all of his family is just, it's I don't know how it's possible for them to even begin to deal with something like this. Charlie was a force of nature. Charlie was doing really incredible work. All right, look, our sponsor here is Birch Gold. Owning gold has always been a privilege. I've owned gold for a long time, and it has been a sound investment, whether as a hedge against inflation or just for diversification. But Birch Gold Group also believes every American should own physical gold. They want to make it easy for you. Until September 30th, if you're a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, request an info kit now. Text my name, Buck, to 989898. Birch Gold to help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate in free metals of up to $10,000. Diversify with gold like I do from Birch Gold Group. Make now your first time to buy gold. Take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by September 30th. Text my name, Buck, B-U-C-K, to 989898 today.